Kim Kardashian, she must have done something to Lewis. Max Verstappen stays here for another 2 or 3 seasons. He's not giving any commitment yet.
I want to know why you weren't at the track to witness this momentous occasion. Do you think he was out there trying to hijack that?
Like you were already doing it in front of all the cameras. Millions of people saw you already hugging. So why do it again?
I disagree with you. I thought it was lovely.
Oh, it's right there. Of course it's there. And you won't see Kim Elman in economy. How do I call you? Is it Carl? Is it Keith? Kim? Kim? What is your name, Kim?
Yes, silly bugger. It's Kim. And the funny thing is, at the track, I will get these people shouting, "Hey, Kai, can I..." Kai? Kyle, Killian. I don't know where they're getting these names from.
And then they're telling you they're the biggest fans.
I had that on the weekend. I'm your biggest fan. How do I say, what's your name? Anyway, just for clarify, it is Kim and you are Jack. Or Jackie, as we know you.
The main man of this weekend must be Lewis Hamilton.
Jeez, he was popular
Good
yesterday.
car.
Jumping out of his skin. It was so nice to be in Parc Fermé.
Out of his skin or out of his skim?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. I wear those that underwear from Kim Kardashian. But it was so nice being next to...
Same.
Right, you wear a different size to me, I would suggest. So I was standing right next to the Ferrari crew, and they were so pumped. They were singing. When the national anthem came on, they got a little bit ahead of themselves, so they finished before the actual national anthem music finished. But Lewis went straight, once he got his trophy, straight to the edge of the podium and aimed it at his guys. And it was a lovely gesture. Been a long time coming, as you know, and... I want to know why you weren't at the track to witness this momentous occasion.
As I said before, I think China was the last one we did it in this fashion. It's 24 races, so that's a little bit too much for a young man like me. No, there's no excuses, but I'm just sitting here in my office, It was a bit sad that I wasn't there because what a wholesome moment it was. Lewis Hamilton, taking his first Ferrari victory. As you said, it was a long time coming, but oh boy, I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, Toto Wolff, I saw an interview with him, said that it was the dream of every driver to win a race in a Ferrari. So that's what Lewis said.
He's 100% right.
Yeah, and he mentioned that after the race, that it was his dream. And a lot of us, including him, I'm sure, thought, and he actually mentioned this in the press conference, that he might have had his last win if you go back a couple of years ago. So there was doubts in his mind, but he had good people around him. He proved them wrong.
Do you remember what his last victory was?
Oh, I do. Now, there are 2 last victories. There's his last win, which was in Belgium, but he didn't get to celebrate that on the podium, as we know. He got notified, I guess, an hour after the race. He'd actually left the track when he found out. But his previous win was in Silverstone, where he stood on the podium. Were you there that day?
I was definitely there, yeah. That was great. And that was very much unexpected back then when he won the race in Silverstone, but that was so cool to experience with all his own fans. But I think in terms of greatness, this one is even better.
Oh, there's no doubt. It wasn't expected at the start of the weekend, was it? And in fact, even after FP3, he was, half a second off the pace?
Well, in qualifying, everything came together a little bit more. But then, listen, we discussed strategy of Ferrari many times here, and it's not necessarily a positive story when it's about that. But I have to say, what they did yesterday with their aggressive strategy, the 3-stop strategy. He was a little bit lucky with the virtual safety car situation, but still, I think if we didn't have a virtual safety car, he would have won that race as well, because that last stint, the lap times he was doing, that was phenomenal. That was outrageously good.
You can drive, and I was listening to it through my earphones out on the track, which doesn't always happen. So for me, I was having this sense of excitement. Oh, we're going to see a Lewis podium. A win, probably halfway through the race, maybe even a little earlier. I was thrilled to be a part of that whole thing. And once again, we're very lucky that we are so close to the action. In fact, after After he got out of the car, he went straight to his crew. Then he went back, and there was all sorts of drivers toing and froing, coming and congratulating him. Lando was the first. Waited until he composed himself. Did you see these shots here of the cameraman right in his face?
Well, it's funny that you're mentioning it, because what amazes me the most after the race, as you said, there's a lot of drivers congratulating him, like everybody did it, Max Verstappen as well. I have the feeling that they have a lot of respect for each other nowadays. But there was one driver in particular that I was a bit surprised to see him in Parc Fermé, and that was Kimi Antonelli, because, you know, it was on the other side of the track that his car shut down. Why is he there? Why is he not mooning in the corner of a garage about his DNF?
Oh, I don't. I think
It's a bit strange to be there in front of all the cameras in Parc Fermé. Yeah, but that's not his role. It's Lewis Hamilton's moment, not Kimi Antonelli. He had his moment week after week after week. Now, this was Lewis Hamilton's moment.
What do you think he was out there trying to hijack that?
Nah, I don't think so, because I don't think he's the person to do that. But that being said, it's not a good look to be there.
No, I disagree with you. I disagree with you. I thought it was lovely. He came out, and then later in the media pen, he and Lewis had a hug there. I think they're pretty close. I think Lewis. Well, I know that Lewis is taking him under his wing.
But that doesn't make any sense. Why are you still hugging in the TV pen? Like, you were already doing it in front of all the cameras. Millions of people saw you already hugging. So why do it again?
Was a love-in, perhaps. But he wasn't the only one to pop out into Parc Fermé afterwards, because Oliver Bearman also popped out. And, of course, he is linked to Ferrari. He came out to give his fellow Ferrari guys a thumbs up, and I don't think he actually went to Lewis, though. But, I was surprised to see him out there.
But he has to be there. I mean, every driver comes in Parc Fermé.
This was well late. This was well late. This was many minutes.
No, I saw him also in Parc Fermé celebrating sending his congratulations to all the mechanics and all the team. Saying some Italian words. That was cool to see.
Yeah, he's a great boy. And earlier in the day, you might have seen my post about this, where his dad and his trainer came in behind him and his girlfriend holding hands, and then...
Is that the one with 7 or 8 security people around it?
No, this was the one where his dad was holding hands with Gigi, his trainer, just mocking Ollie, which was quite fun. Yeah, look, I like Oliver Bearman. He's a tremendously likeable young fella.
Back to Lewis, Kim, because when I say Kim and Lewis, then I think about a different Kim. That's how twisted my mind worked. Maybe. But he's second in the championship, Kim. He's not that far behind of Kimi Antonelli at the moment.
I know. It was a great result for him to pick up 25 points on Kimi.
But who was expecting this when the season started? Because I remember...
Not me.
Was it after Hungary last year that he said something like, maybe Ferrari should consider a swap, or I'm not good enough anymore? And do you remember that moment? I think it was after Budapest.
You would remember it better than me, but I know there was self-doubt, and he was quite harsh on himself. Well, Charles was very hard on himself again after his muck-up in qualifying.
I find it very interesting to see him as a 41-year-old stepping up week after week. This victory was a long time coming. And I'm very curious to see what he can do this year, because I think if he has his self-confidence back, as he had back in the days like 21 and all those years before, he's going to play his role in the championship fight. If Ferrari keeps performing like they did this weekend, because I have to say, with their strategy, that was top shelf. That was good stuff.
Fred was certainly very happy post-race, as all the crew were. And in fact, I photographed a number of their crew, because I thought, everyone focuses on the guy that's driven the car, but there's all these people behind the scenes who play perhaps an equally important role. And those guys were just lapping it up. Although Fred did muck up the celebration photo, he went way too early with the champagne. In fact, I spoke to one of the photographers that works with Ferrari, and he said that was the worst celebration photo ever, because they didn't get everybody lined up. Lewis just joined in, and then Fred's gone and ruined the whole thing. Then it turned into...
They're just not used to it yet, Kim.
Well, they're not practiced. They've had... the last time they had a win was Carlos...
Was 24?
Yeah,
Mexico?
in Mexico, So they're out of
Yeah, I think so.
sorts when it comes to that sort of thing. But a few more of
Yeah.
these in a row, and they'll be back to being a highly polished celebration team.
And Kim, tell me, you there, that national anthem of Italy, with all the Italian mechanics and engineers, and
Yep.
it is something else. It is so good. It's so good to have it back.
Yeah, and let's talk about the all-British podium. Not since '68 have we
Mine-
seen.
Were you here already in '68, Kim?
Yeah, I was, but I was only in my
Ooh.
first 10 years of life. But somebody also told me,
That's been a while.
yeah, and I certainly wasn't watching Formula One at that stage, but that might be the only all-English podium.
What do you mean? The one is in '68?
No, '68 was all British, but this was English because Britain takes into account.
Oh, this was English. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a very special moment. Obviously, it would have
Yeah.
been ruined if Antonelli had kept his position, but he played the game, and suddenly we've got this momentous occasion, and we'll be able to say, yes, I was there the day they had the all-English podium
Yeah.
in Barcelona on a hot day.
Well, I wasn't there. I had to watch it all from television. And what I saw was Kimi Antonelli, once again, was beating his teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he had that DNF after, a few minutes after he overtook George Russell. But that must hurt for George. George Russell was super quick all weekend. He was way quicker than Kimi Antonelli. So he must have some confidence going in that race. And then when you see him, getting closer lap after lap after lap in your mirrors, and he was doing lap times like crazy. He was quick, he was rapid, like 4, 5 tenths quicker every lap. That also does something to your self-confidence.
There's no doubt. But what can he do? That's the cards he's dealt. He has to get back on top. He is the senior driver there. But coming to an end, a win streak of 5 in a row.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to be saying a new record this race, another new record this race. I thought he was going to dominate every race. But Lewis put a
Yeah.
stop to that.
I enjoy every single moment of Kimi Antonelli so far. But I have to say, for the championship and for the title fight, we couldn't have had a better outcome than this one. Lewis winning the race, Kimi DNF, George second, so he's also scoring big points. I mean, the championship fight is still very much alive, if you ask me, after this race.
Yeah, and I look at what Formula One's looking for this season. They've had the drama at the start of the year with the regulations. They've made some changes to that, and that was a positive. Now they've got this story spinning in now. So Formula One, as a sport, as an organisation, will be very happy that this has popped up yesterday.
Without a doubt. I mean, and they have many stories already, because we were mentioning it already a few times. Kim Kardashian, she must have done something to Lewis, because since they are together, it's going better week after week. I mean, I'm very curious about that secret over there.
Well, she polarises people. My biggest post of the weekend, picture post of the weekend, was this shot here, side of Lewis's head. Shocking photo. But it was the story behind it that got people excited and angry. Purely because when he walked past me, you can very clearly hear a woman, because he's got it on speaker and he's looking at his phone, and all the way towards me he's focused on this phone. And this voice says, so how do you feel? American accent, Kim, female. And he responds, unreal, and keeps walking to the media pen. I don't know, I'm not sure if there's any TV around. I don't think so. I think it was just me and 2 other officials. And afterwards, when he left, I went to them. I said, did he say unreal to the question, how do you feel? Yeah. Was that Kim Kardashian? Yeah. So we all agreed, and so I put that post up. And like him, like her, or love her, that picture seems to have resonated as the story did. And look, you can't question people. You can't have a go at them for liking or not liking something. It's what people want. But I gave them what they want, and
Yeah.
they voted with their finger.
Well, that's what you do, Kim. You give people what they want, right?
Yeah, I can't make people like certain things. I just throw all this stuff out there, and every now and then something sticks. So yeah, you just got to keep trying.
What about Max Verstappen, Kim? He had a difficult weekend. It was the first proper test for Red Bull Racing after Monaco, because everybody would thought, okay, they might be up there again. I remember Max qualifying second in Miami, qualified second in Monaco. So this was the first proper test, because when you're normally quick in Barcelona, you're quick at pretty much every track.
Right.
That wasn't particularly the case, was it?
No, and I didn't follow much at all about Max's weekend. You were probably more on top of it, but did you notice his jet movement last week? He and Raymond, I believe, flew to Austria. What's that about? You were close to that.
Yeah, there was some movements of his jets. So that's correct. Yeah, he went to Austria to see the shareholders, to see the sport director Oliver Minslav. So there is a clause in the contract of Max Verstappen when he's not second at summer break. He can trigger that clause and can leave Red Bull Racing earlier than the end of his contract, which is the end of 28.
Right.
So Red Bull, obviously, the summer break is getting nearby. It's getting closer. We're already there in 6 weeks. 4 races left. They're getting nervous now, right?
Yeah.
Because they obviously don't want to lose Max Verstappen. So what they wanted to hear from Max is, hey Max, we would like to hire some top shelf people from other teams, very talented people. But it helps when we're trying to hire them, when we have a story to tell them, like Max Verstappen stays here for another 2 or 3 seasons. Can you give us that commitment? He's not giving any commitment yet.
Right, you have got the inside knowledge by the sound of things here. What does he want before he gives that commitment?
At first he wants performance, right? We all know Max is all about winning, and he wants to be in the best car possible. Red Bull is not the best car. We've seen that this weekend. They were miles off the pace. It's also tactics from the Verstappen side to put pressure on Red Bull. They say, no, we're not going to give you guys any commitment yet. Let's see how it goes in the next 2 or 3 races. Barcelona, Austria is also an important one, especially because they're going to bring a massive amount of updates to Austria. I think after Austria, after Silverstone, they're going to make a decision. So that I think there's a few options on the table for Verstappen. We've said that earlier this season. He might leave the sport, which is an option. Maybe he's considering a move to somewhere else. I'm pretty sure there is a spot at Mercedes available for him. Or stay at Red Bull. And maybe, well, that's also maybe tactics while they're waiting. They get another 10, 20 or 30 million a year out of this contract with Red Bull. You know, that they're going to... Maybe now Max knows in 2030 we have V8 engines. You know what? For another 30 or 40 million extra a year, I will stay at Red Bull.
Well, he has the upper hand in this, and if he left, who do you replace him with? Because he's such a huge talent, and he wins races.
On the top of the list is Oscar Piastri's names. They have already spoken with each other. We know that Mark Webber is the manager of Oscar Piastri. Even though we don't see him at the track anymore. I mean, I think he's not allowed in the McLaren hospitality or something. McLaren doesn't want him around Oscar Piastri anymore at the track. Last year was a little heated, right? Oscar Piastri had the feeling that he got screwed by the team, that they favored Lando Norris. Mark Webber got himself into a lot of fights, I think, with the
Zach
McLaren bosses.
And Andrea?
I think so. But since then, we haven't seen Mark Webber on track. But he's still Oscar Piastri's manager. Now, we know he's tied to Red Bull as well. He has a pass in Red Bull Racing. So, yeah, it only makes sense that they are talking to each other. Not as the second seat, not next to Max Verstappen, but instead of Verstappen.
Well, he controls the whole driver market. Once he makes his move, suddenly all these other dominoes fall and things fall into place.
Yeah.
But everyone's hanging around for that moment.
Yeah. From Red Bull perspective, we pay you an awful lot of money. At least you can give us is some commitment for next year, right? But no, we know they are when it comes to business.
Novus Glass, industry-leading windshield repair technology.
Changing topics, how did you find out about Hulkenberg's bizarre end to his race?
Unbelievable. I think it was after the race by social media, and also Nico Hulkenberg's post I saw. You were there. Tell the story, Ken.
Well, I found out it the same way you did, but this is the CDS, and this is what I imagine is the button. One of these buttons cuts the engine. Nico said Liam Lawson flicked up a stone. It hit one of those buttons, turned the car off. Now, that's a 1 in a squillion odds, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable. There is a skill switch on the car. When the car, for instance, after a crash is on his rooftop or whatever, the engine is still screaming, then it's up to the marshals to basically switch off the car by triggering this, what is it, a plug or how would you call it?
Well, it's just a little
Like the
push
switch.
button, yeah.
He was right behind Liam Lawson. He was up for scoring points with Audi, which is a phenomenal. That would be a phenomenal result for Nico. And then there's Liam Lawson getting a little bit offline and then sniper rifling the Audi behind him with some gravel.
Very
Yeah,
sad.
unbelievable. But good story for Racing Bulls.
Yeah.
I mean, they scored double points once again. Great car, I have to say. We were mentioning it already before. They do those special liveries. There's not a single team who does it like Racing Bulls, and I love doing that. Now they had something special for the World Cup football. I enjoyed that one. Good car. I saw you were wearing a scarf while it's 33 degrees centigrade. It's right there. Of course it's there.
Do you know Zach Ashley?
No?
Oh,
But
Zach
you
is
know.
Zach is a very colourful character, and he's very high up in Visa Cash App. He came out as I was walking to turn 1 for the start of the race and gave me this big thanks for the talking up of our Visa Cash App stuff. But yeah, look, I like that team for what they do with their social media and their liveries. And they'd be very happy that Colapinto unfortunately copped a 10-second penalty because that, I think, bumped them up a position, didn't it?
Yeah, 8 and 9, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
finished 10 then in the end. So, but then also double points again for Alpine.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
going well.
I felt a bit sad for Pierre Gasly because as a Frenchman, you're dreaming about a podium in Monaco, right? I mean, I think every
Yeah.
Formula One driver does.
Yep.
The results got reinstalled, and he got his trophy this weekend, but that doesn't feel the same, right?
Well, exactly.
You're not on the pictures of the podium.
I know, but if you had a choice of, look, I don't think he'd be unhappy that he missed the podium. It would have been nice, but the trophy side of things. I went and had a chat with the FIA, and I said, "What is the rules about the trophy? Red Bull's got it now. What's the rules?" They said, "There is no rule. It's nothing written in the regulations about the trophy, but it's just taken as a given that you give the trophy back to you give the trophy to the people who came third." So I don't know when that will happen. I don't know if it's
that's
a
interesting.
formal thing, but it certainly surprised me, and a lot of my followers online mentioned that in their comments.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Obviously, everybody knows you're from Australia.
Yeah.
I wonder, how does your European schedule looks like now? Because I always fly back to the Netherlands, which makes total sense. It's only a 1.5 or 2 hour flight.
Yeah.
You're not going back to Australia every time, do you?
No, it'd be about 26 hours to get home and probably the same to get back, and a heck of a lot of money. I'm actually going to Warsaw tomorrow and then to Krakow, then to Vienna for a couple of nights before Spielberg. But I do go home after Britain for 6 nights. My wife's actually here with me at the moment, and we're having a lovely time in a beautiful hotel here, and we've got this nice hedge behind me that we can do this thing. So yeah, I will go home a couple of times throughout the European season, but not after every race. I was at a place last week that I think you'll find interesting, Madrid, and I went out and had a look at that track. Well, I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised if and when it gets up and running, and I believe it will make it. Look, they've got all the tarmac down now. It looks good.
Yeah.
They've got to do all the fluff around the outside, the grandstands and the fan zone, etc. But they're working 24/7. And what that track does have, that Barcelona doesn't, is a subway stop right out the front of the track. And I think that will be going hammer and tongs every night, or all day, people coming and going.
You're mentioning the traffic, or at least that's what you're aiming at.
Yeah.
The traffic in Barcelona, it's quite a nightmare, isn't it?
It's
Listen, when I make my schedule every year to which races I will attend and which not, one of the main reasons why I'm not in Barcelona at the moment is that specific traffic around the track. It is horrible.
Yeah, well, you and my
Nightmare.
son. My son says he's not doing it again with this traffic. Mainly on Saturday night, unless we happen to find some very nice hotel nearby the circuit, and pretty much they don't exist. But it was 2.5 hours, or 2 hours 20 to get from the media car park back to the city. Now, normally it's going to the track, it's about 28 minutes, and going home 40. So it was a big, it was awful sitting in that traffic. And somebody said, it was because one of the Mercedes crew vans had an incident and clogged up the traffic. It can't do that much damage because there's a number of roads leading out. But unfortunately, they've never been able to get it any better than what it was. And I think some people said that the buses were quicker than cars.
Is it the worst of the season?
No. Oh, I tell you what, it might be very close. The only one that would rival it would be Mexico on a Friday night going back to Polanco or Roma Norte.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to
Shocking.
Polanco because you're a fancy pants and you want to stay in this fancy neighborhood. But if you stay
Yep.
in Roma Norte, for instance, like the ordinary people like me, it's
but
quite doable every single night. But
No, it'll save you 15 minutes on a Friday night. And speaking of Mexicans...
Friday night is bad, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of Mexicans, Sergio Perez had his wife and his sister, Paula, and Carola, his wife, at the track. And they were looking dashing. In fact, I was once again heading out to Turn 1, and Khalil, Sergio's manager, said, "Oh, can you get a shot of the girls?" So, yeah, they were looking special.
He's a friend of the show, isn't he?
He's very much a friend of the
He's in many
show.
pictures that I noticed, the manager. Yeah,
He's-
yeah.
He's a funny guy. He's out there all the time, and I love it.
We know you make thousands of pictures every single weekend. What was your favorite this weekend?
Well, two favourites, 2 Lewis photos, one in a car, and this shot is taken as the car goes underneath a bridge. And because there's darkness underneath the bridge, not black, but it's dark, you have to bump up the exposure so you can see the car. But what that does is blows out everything before and after that's in bright sun. So, I really love the way this photo looks. And the other one is Lewis on the podium because it's such raw energy. He was looking towards me, not directly at me, but towards me. And I think this is it's going to be one of my best pictures of the year. It's a highlight for Lewis, and it's a moment that I'll remember.
What about the crashes in Barcelona, Kim? We haven't seen much this weekend. It was nothing like Monaco, I have to say. I think it was only Charles Leclerc.
So how does that affect the Destructors Championship?
Charles is moving. But what a nightmare weekend Charles had.
Yeah, he was very harsh on himself. We mentioned that earlier on. I should say that he also had a muck-up on Thursday coming in Lewis's shirt. Did you see that?
No?
Yeah. And I didn't notice it. I took this photo, and my editor sent me a note. Why is he wearing Lewis's shirt? And then if you zoom in, you can see 44 on his left-hand side. And, of course, he's not 44, he's 16. And I asked him later in the day, I said, why were you wearing Lewis's shirt? And it was something along the lines of, oh, that's up on my part. He's such an honest
he's a
and
nice
lovable
guy,
guy.
right? Well,
Oh, he's the
yeah,
very best.
I remember another, not a crash, but some damage. Obviously, it was the sniper rifle on Nico Hülkenberg's car. Liam Lawson's sniper rifle.
Yeah, okay, dude.
Because there were some holes in the nose of his car.
Is that right? So that's some damage
Yeah.
that has to go in the Destructors?
Yeah, but they're not. Nico's not close to the top 10 yet, so that's fine. He's good.
He's good. He's good value for Audi.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, but when you see those numbers, Kim, when there's already drivers above 1 million, and we're not even close to summer break. Last time you said, but that's pocket money for those teams. Is it? Because every million is 1 million in the end.
Oh, I know, and they have got that cost cap, and they can't be going over it. And so that million, if they're putting it into a car, has to come out of some other part of their budget.
As I told you, Red Bull is coming with some massive upgrades in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
When Isaac, for instance, or Max, when they keep crashing their car, that means they can't keep improving the car during the season, is it?
Yeah, it has a definite impact. It also has an impact on the crew because they've got to fix these things, and often it involves late nights, and not like it used to be where they worked all night, because you can't. You've got the curfew in place that means that the guys have to get out and the girls have to get out there by a certain time each night, and so that's a positive thing for their mental health and health and safety. But yeah, it's all money, and it all has to be accounted for.
In the morning, we send each other those notes, Kim. Like, what are we going to talk about today? And one of your notes stood out to me was Arvid Lindblad going economy in middle seat.
I saw this
What's that all
post.
about?
I saw a post on Instagram where someone said, "Look, here's Arvid. He's not going private. He's going economy, and he's jagged the daggy middle seat." Poor bugger. But I got this picture of him in the paddock with walking lunch. Him and Liam walking through the paddock with a plate of food.
You won't see that very often. When I have to warn all the people watching back home. You will never see a Formula One driver. You will never meet one in economy.
No, that's not true. I spoke to Nico Hulkenberg once, and I said, because I found out he'd gone economy on a long leg too, like 8 hours. I said, "Why'd you go economy?" He said, "That's all we could get. If we wanted to be on that flight, we just had to wear it." Okay. So,
Yeah, well, it's very rare.
It's unusual.
I can assure you, it's very rare.
Yeah, a bit like me.
Nothing like you, because that was what I was about to say. Like, you won't see a driver in economy, and you won't see Kim Elman in economy.
Well, occasionally.
Mr. Fancy Pants.
I just think it's, I work so hard that I need to arrive fresh. Like this weekend, I've had maybe 2 hours a day of not working apart from my sleep. So that's my reward, is to travel comfortably. And if I have to work a lot harder to afford that, I'm happy to do that.
Exactly. Well, you got to catch your flight to Warsaw.
Yeah.
I'll thank you very much for your time, Kim. Oh, by the way, we did some great numbers last episode. 44,000 views or something. And we only have 4.5 thousand subscribers. So that means a lot of people watching this, not a subscriber yet. So please, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe. And remember,
if it happens in the paddock, you'll hear it first here on Paddock Access.